when we're being truly authentic, we're not trying to fake it. We're not trying to prove our worth to something to receive validation, right? We can just know in this moment, if I be, it will come. If I be, it will come. I mean, that takes chasing out of the equation. That takes ruminating out of the equation.
Welcome to Winning the Divine Lottery. I'm your host, Amy Dawes.
Truth be told, that I don't know what's going to happen on today's podcast. It's been a minute since I've been in this space, and I still wanted to record a podcast because I'm getting ready to head to my mom's to visit her for a few days, and I wanted to show up in my full authenticity and who I'm being. And it really reminds me that we don't always know. Even when I have an idea or an insight or awareness, I still don't fully know what's going to end up coming through me and out of my mouth. And I love that. I love being brought back to this space of humbleness and humility and the gift of being fully present in the moment without needing to know. Because sometimes when we need to know, we are coming from a place of fear, control, and this does not feel like that. This feels like possibility, opportunity to opportunity to explore and just be with you here right now. And I think we overlook the simplicity of being, of just simply being, because we're always trying to do something and we're always chasing and we're always needing to be productive and we're always just coming from an underlying subconscious place of either we're not enough or we need to prove or there's something wrong with me if I don't do this and this and this, like in a certain way. And so it's really good to be in a space to say, fuck it, and to be okay with whatever shows up here in the moment. And I love that. And I'm staring at my hat, and the bottom word is like highlighting so big. It's be calm, be, and then it comes. I just felt like this huge sense of relief and love like wash over my entire body when I said that. Because when we can simply be and we don't have an agenda and we're not trying to get something or prove something, when we can be here now, fully present, without needing to know, then it comes. It will simply come. It will come to you. It will come through you because everything does. What a relief and what I was gonna say, what a way, and then the what an approach came through overlapping that. I actually want to talk about that for a second because this is just the beingness. Because sometimes I'm thinking one thing and I'm about to say it, and then something comes and overlaps. And I've noticed and been very aware of myself. And that's actually when I get tongue-tied or I say something a little incorrectly. And if you can relate to that, I feel this was supposed to be said because I'm saying it, that that's okay, right? We don't have to be perfect. It reminds me actually of a TikTok video that I did a while ago that got, I think it's over 28K views now. And I started out with like, ask this question to shift you to a higher timeline. And it wasn't really a question, it was an ask, but it was more like a request, right? And I didn't have too many people, but I had a few people like point that out to me This isn't a question. And I'm like, cool. You're allowed to point that out, and I don't have to respond. And I'm just, gonna keep being me and showing up in the moment. And this speaks so genuinely to that is when we're being truly authentic. We're not trying to fake it. We're not trying to prove our worth to something to receive validation, right? We can just know in this moment, if I be, it will come. If I be, it will come. I mean, that takes chasing out of the equation. That takes ruminating out of the equation. That takes fear out of the equation and anxiety and the constant struggle to grip and control and manipulate the outcome when we are an extension of divinity, divine source, God. And we can be, when we're being, we're trusting in that to come when it's supposed to come through us. And so often we're so scared about how we're going to be received, how others are going to perceive us, how others will judge us, what they're going to think, what story they're going to tell themselves. And really, man, if you just all that comes from the small self, the little I, the me, ego, 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 ego. And when you could just remove that and allow it to, it can like chime in from time to time if it wants, but we don't have to cater to it, right? It can be there. But when we remove the me, the small self, we then allow ourselves to open up to source. And source is filled with limitless possibility. And so I'm literally, as I'm speaking this, creating a space for that limitless possibility to come through me. And because I am in that space, I am also creating an energetic vortex for you to be able to do the same. Of course, this is going to trigger people. Of course, there's going to be people who get bored. Of course, there's going to be somebody who judges it. Of course, there's always going to be. It doesn't matter how prepared you are or how unprepared you are always going to generate those types of people. And it doesn't flipping matter. Like, why does it matter? So, right now, as I'm speaking this, I would rather be exactly as I am in the moment. I would rather be that because that feels light. That feels ease in my body. That feels like a, ooh, no agenda. I have nothing to prove. It doesn't matter that this is a podcast. It doesn't matter that it's called winning the divine lottery. In this moment, I am winning because I am free to be and allow what needs to come simply, poetically. How easy, how easy. And I'm already aware that I repeat things too because in the moment I'm becoming like this open, vast, expansive channel for this to drop in. And Amy, personality Amy, needs this too. She needs this reminder. She needs to be able to experience the freedom of just being in the moment because she has built an identity that also has subconscious root belief systems of I am not enough, there's something wrong with me. And when you have those, if you're not aware of them, you can default back to them. And so you will behave and do things in a way to continue to receive evidence of that. And I remember after a meditation, I don't even know how many years ago it was. I posted about it somewhere. I don't even recall where I posted about it, maybe on Facebook. But I had this like internal realization that the only belief, the perception, the identity that as at the root of all suffering is the one belief that I am not enough. I received that in my meditation, and it acted like the anchor because there's so many other beliefs that can be extended from that. But every single one of us at some level has this subconscious belief and paradigm, and it's how we view ourselves. And when we are unconscious of it, we don't know. It sounds ridiculous. We might even reject it altogether. And excuse me, I know I have. I know there's still layers of that, especially being an entrepreneur. My journey of entrepreneurship has been a deep transformative process. Looking back, it's always in hindsight, right? Like looking back, I can see the times that I've created out of survival. And when you create out of survival, it is from a place of lack. And lack always says, I'm not good enough. And there's something wrong with me is an extension of that. Like if you believe there's something wrong with you, then you're always going to be trying to fix you and change you because it's not enough. You're not enough. As you are in this moment is not enough. It's not acceptable. And if you're not enough in this moment, it can mean that you're not lovable. It can mean that you're not successful enough. It can mean that you're not doing enough. It can even mean that you're not being enough. Sometimes we can actually take the word be and make it into a job. You have to be enough. You have to be more. I know I had this awareness not long ago, actually talking to Chat GPT of all tools, which I absolutely love Chat GPT. I'm not gonna go down that rabbit hole today. No, I'm not. I'm not feeling that coming through. And I had this awareness around being more. It went from doing more to being more. And I felt this like resistance in my body. It felt like a trap. And I leaned into that and I understood that I that's the root of the subconscious programming. Would hear something like that and use it against me to prove that I'm still not enough. And in that space, I had to like be okay with, wait a second, what if in this moment, even with that awareness, that being more feels like a job and it still points to me not being enough, that I was enough? Like, what if even with that, I am still enough and I'm still loved and I'm still cherished and I'm still precious and I'm still adored? And I felt that, and it felt like fresh, new energy, this vibratory feeling of truth run through my body. And I find it fascinating that in the personal development world, we can get caught in the trap of constantly working on ourselves and constantly changing from a place of not being enough, like a really root, like I'm not enough, so I'm going to keep doing personal development, self-improvement, and work on myself, rooted in not enough. The game changes when you do the self-improvement and you do the personal development and your game for change, when it's rooted in love, when it's rooted in purpose, when it's rooted in joy, when it's rooted from just the curiosity of exploring, I wonder what else I'll discover by doing this new thing. Instead of creating an identity that gets so attached. This happened to me. This happened to me right like pre-COVID and basically during most of COVID. I didn't understand what was happening when it was happening, but the identity that I had built that was constantly personal development, personal improvement, personal change, it came crashing down like the tower card. And it was painful, and it was a dark night of the soul, and nobody else understood what I was going through. We were isolated on top of being isolated in this entrapment that I was experiencing in my body and my nervous system. And so when I started to rise out of that, and I started to be open to growth again, I it took some time because I was still recognizing like why doesn't this feel as enjoyable anymore? I kept trying to go back to that identity and like my soul didn't want that identity anymore. It was no longer serving me. And it's still an ongoing awareness practice of catching myself. Because when you have a deep-rooted belief that you're not enough, there's something wrong with you, from a very early age, you've been taught that you have to be a certain way to get love, to get acceptance, to fit in, to feel like you belong. And I'm sure if you're listening, you can relate to this. If you're still listening, you're still here for a reason. And my heart goes out to you, and I hope that you feel like you're not alone. And I don't really care how put together somebody looks out there, how successful somebody looks. I don't care how successful they look. I can guarantee you that inside of them, they, if they aren't already overcoming these same rooted belief systems, have them. We all do. We all do. I mean, the world constantly is projecting that we're not enough onto us. And it could be something that you heard from in utero, that you experienced inside your mother's womb. It could be something that you heard or felt when you were 3. You know, just it's a word, it's a vibratory experience. That's the language of our soul, the frequency first language, right? And we hear these words and they carry with it a certain vibration and frequency and it goes directly into all of our cells and we remember that frequency and we start to take it on as ours and we wear it like an identity and that becomes our personality and then everything in life starts to mirror that and until you start to become aware of it, which can be a very painful process, you can start to come back though to a very curiosity place. Like it also teaches compassion, right? Because you can look at everybody and be like, "Oh, I'm not gonna point it out and say it unless I'm working with somebody one-on-one in my mentorship." And we can have so much compassion because every single one of us, 95% of the time, are operating from these subconscious beliefs and these paradigms. You know, the overachiever needs to overachieve because they don't feel like it's enough, like it's never enough. So they're always needing to do more and be more. And I'm not saying that's wrong or right. What I'm saying is, does the overachiever understand the root subconscious belief that that's coming from? And if they were aware of it, what would change? What would their approach be? Would they be as attached to achievement? Or would they be okay with, I'm still going to do this thing, but from a place of exploration and expansion and just playfulness, like we did when we were kids? But I'm not attached to any certain outcome because I don't attach my identity to temporary things. I attach my identity to the one constant truth. And that constant truth is something I do believe that we're all on a search for. And when you find it, you know because of how you feel, because of the resonancy that you can feel through your body. Just like when I started this call, the resonancy of just being, whoa, wait a second, I can just be here and start speaking and allow it to come, and I have nothing to prove. Like, there's so much freedom in that. It's incredible. And I love how this is happening right now. It reminds me of the pause. Blank spaces are often empty spaces that we try to fill up with noise. And I'm utilizing this experience to remind me and to remind you pausing is okay. Empty spaces are often an invitation to go deeper and to receive something new. And in this moment in my body, as I'm sharing this and my tone is softening and my words are slowing down, I can feel my heart opening that it's almost bringing me to tears. So it is bringing me to tears now because in this empty space, what I'm experiencing is love. Amy's favorite thing. I didn't have to go anywhere to get it. I didn't have to prove anything to receive it. I didn't need to expect it or plan it. It's just happening right now. How beautiful is the mystical, the moments of unexpected mystery when you never asked for it or expected it. It just shows up in the most random moments in the middle of a podcast episode, recording it solo. I want this for you. These moments are the moments I live for. It's funny because before this, I tried to sit with my heart and ask my heart, what should I talk about? Should I share a mystical experience? Because I love sharing my mystical experiences, they light me up. But nothing was coming through. But look, I have a new one, and it's happening live with you right now in real time, and it's being recorded. And it's not being recorded. And I said it's not being recorded because I went and double checked and it didn't look like we was recording. And then I looked up in the top right corner. I had a moment of no, I have to start all over again. Wow. Look at how just a simple moment of fear popped in. And immediately I was like, no, this is too perfect. And it's all good. It's being recorded. And I'm going to leave all of this in here because this is real. This is real. This is how we build connection. This is intimacy. This is me, Amy, allowing you to see into me purely. And because of that, it's allowing you to see into you. Can you feel the relief? Can you feel what it would be like to give yourself grace more often to be and allow things to come without expectations or attachments, without creating a story around it, without creating an identity around it or a personality around it? To me, that's so incredibly freeing. And on that note, I feel complete, and I don't even know how long this episode is until I stop the recording. And I feel so full. Imagine that. I love you. Give yourself space and grace to be.
If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend and don't forget to like and subscribe.